Hello everyone. We're back out here at the 78 Malibu once again. It's getting to be a familiar sight. Just gonna wrap up what I've done under the hood. Got the new temperature gauge installed inside. I'll show you that in a second. There's the tubing to it, as you can see. And I simply just ran it. There was a hole in the firewall, and I just went ahead and ran it through there. You can see it right there. And I didn't put that hole there. I don't know what caused that, but I just made use of it. And I took a piece of rubber line and split it lengthwise. I cut about a 3 or 4 inch piece of it, and just put over the top, put over, kind of let it through there, make a kind of a protection for it so it doesn't chafe it. And then out here I just made sure to keep it away from anything that it would contact. Made a little loop in it right there like you're supposed to, and it goes right in the side of the engine there, right there. Nothing to it. I also went ahead and got the valve covers changed and the valve and other gaskets put on it. Now you may think that I just reinstalled the original valve covers. Actually I didn't. Those valve covers that you see are from a junkyard engine, but amazingly they match up perfectly. So I have the same amount of grease and dirt and same color as the engine that's in here, so that worked out great. And as far as this pulley arrangement goes down here, I haven't got on to dealing with this yet, but from looking at the other car, this pulley is simply just, I don't know what they thought they were doing, but they've got it spacered out with washers, and this belt here is supposed to be running off the front groove there. It's not, it's in the middle. It's supposed to be the front groove on the crankshaft, so I don't know what they were doing. See, it doesn't even line up with the power steering pump anymore. I really, I don't understand what people think sometimes, what they think they're doing. But anyway, I'm to the point now, I was to the point to put coolant in it and start it up and run it and let the cooling system do its thing and get filled up and all, check for leaks. But I ran into a problem. When I got ready to start the engine, it wouldn't start. So I tried it several times, didn't run the battery down or anything, but it just would not start at all. The fuel gauge says it's got gasoline in it, about 1/4 of a tank. Of course that can't always be trusted, but I came out and took the air cleaner off, and of course the carburetor's as dry as a bone. So I could have primed it and got it running that way probably, but I wanted to diagnose this. So I thought this would be a good teaching video to make about this kind of a problem. It's easy to sometimes throw parts on things and luck out and get them to the problem to resolve, but I wanted to just go with the evidence that I had here. Of course, the evidence is, the symptom is that the car won't start. So starting from the rear, it could be something as simple as it's out of gas. Then you move on to maybe it's got a hole in the fuel line somewhere. These cars have rubber fuel lines between the tank and the steel line on the frame at the rear and at the front. So it could be something with those. You move on up, could have a bad fuel pump, and then of course this line goes on up to the carburetor. Could have a problem with the carburetor, accelerator pump may not be working. It may actually have gas in the carburetor but just not pumping it. But I wanted to use, like I said, the evidence that I had. I don't have much other than the car won't run, but one thing I did notice when I had this car running the other day for the first time is this: I smelled gas while I was running. Not very strong, but I did get a faint whiff of it. And the carburetor is not leaking. I've made sure of that. And although it looks like this fuel pump has possibly had some gasoline seeping out of it, as you can see how it looks around the edges of it, it's not leaking gas out where you can see it leak. So right now I'm not going to condemn the fuel pump yet. I did come back here and check the lines back here, and I did find a problem, so let me show you what I found here. Okay, get under here as well as possible. Turn the light around. Okay, run to the back of the car. Here's the rear end, and up here, and you can see it is the fuel lines. Let's get kind of zoomed in here. These lines may be hard to tell, but they're two different sizes. There's the one on the left is smaller than the one on the right. So obviously the one on the right is the feed line, the supply line. They're usually always larger if there's two different sizes. And this car doesn't have a fuel return of any type. All that is on the left is a vapor line. But look right there. You can see that? So, well, first you can see how cracked the line is there, and the other one as well. It looks like the originals, but there's that goop that you see there. That's not supposed to be there. That means there's evidence of fuel vapor leaking out, or actually I should say liquid fuel. And this is not, you know, it's not under pressure right here, but if it's bad enough that the fuel can just seep out like that, then it's obviously going to suck air. And if the fuel pump's even somewhat worn out, weak, it'll just never be able to overcome that. It'll just suck air, it won't suck fuel out. So of course right now I'm going to go ahead and replace those just like I had to on the 78 Bonneville. And one scary thing is, if you look right here, there's the exhaust pipe right directly underneath it. So that's not good. If it got to the point that it actually dripped some fuel out, it could have a fire. So I'm going to go ahead and right now and replace those rubber lines, and also I'm going to put a couple gallons of fuel in the fuel tank just to cover that, and we'll see if that will make it run, hopefully. I'm going to bank on that that's the problem. If not, then we'll have to go further up forward to diagnose it. But right now I'm just going to do the most cheap and easy thing to try to resolve this. And then I'll get back on the video thing again when I got some results to announce. Sounds like a contest, doesn't it? It kind of is a contest. It's a contest to see if this car can prevail or me prevail. Let me show you real quick. I didn't make another video last night about this temperature gauge installation, but I'll just go ahead and make one right now very quickly. Here's the temperature gauge installed. Just a perfect place for it. I only did put one gauge in here. There was room for two, but you know, I don't much worry about the oil gauge or the volt gauge, especially the volt gauge, because you know that's not a, if you have a voltage problem, you know, you got a little bit of time at least to get somewhere and get it stopped. And then if the oil light comes on, you know, anything other than idle speed, then you got problems anyway, and it's done. So I had a car that I put a full set of gauges in, aftermarket gauges in, and it was just really had a high mileage engine, and it would run about 12 pounds oil pressure driving at highway speeds, and that just drove me crazy. I mean, it never, you know, never blew up or anything, never quit running. It ran good, but it just had no oil pressure. So I just worry about the oil situation another day. Well, all right, let me get under here and do some work. Talk to you later. Okay, let's take a look at these nasty old things. Here's the vapor line, and it wasn't too bad. Maybe just because it just carries vapor. It's just a little bit of cracking if you bend it. Definitely needs to be replaced. But This one is the fuel line, the supply line. I had to cut it in half to get it off, so I don't mind that. But here's the end that was closest to the tank. Look at that. You see that? Now I may have accelerated that a little bit, twisting it some to get it loose, but that's definitely a crack all the way in. Now I made the split right there, getting it loose, breaking the seal on it. But here's the other end. Oh, there we go. What's that say? I don't know what it says. It says replace me. But look at this. This is the other end up at the other clamp. And I can back out a little bit. That is dangerous, dangerous, dangerous. So that may not be all of it, but definitely was a big deal right there, big part of it. There was no gas in the lines at all when I took them off. They're bone dry. So. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get these replaced. That's it. Check those fuel lines. Seems to be a good engine. That's good. Just waiting for the thermostat to open. Carburetor's out of adjustment. As dirty as that carburetor is, I guess it's a miracle it even works at all.
What you been doing? What is that? What is that?